realizing what should I do, what I expected to do. Oh my God.
That's okay. That's okay.
Welcome.
Take your
I don't
time.
know.
Yeah, first of all, recover from the jet lag. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is no rush
It's
here.
easier there, but it's more difficult here, you know, because there you're on holiday and you can like even if you can't think properly, you are still able to
It's a
go on
different mode.
excursion and enjoy the scenery. But here you have to work and it's another stuff
Well, at
completely.
least, did you enjoy your holiday?
It was fantastic. Beijing, awful. Yeah, I don't recommend
I
going
know.
there.
I've been
But
there, yeah.
Shanghai and Suzhou, it's just a dream for everyone.
Great.
Cosmopolitan modern cities, well developed, but too many
Okay.
people.
Just to remind everyone, we are starting exploring paper 2 of Delta Model 1. Yeah, that's why actually we finished exploring paper 1 with a mock test. And the rest of the course will be devoted to 3 tasks that are left there. And they're very important, extremely valuable, so it's worth paying attention to all of them. You'll be given 90 minutes to do only 3 tasks. So you think it might be a piece of cake, but actually quite a lot of them are demanding. Yeah. What I initially I was planning to finish our course a bit earlier, somewhere before the 20th of May, but because we put off a couple of lessons, I don't remember, 1 or 2, we may finish the course itself in June, which is okay, even if you are going to take the test. Yeah, if you're going to go to another country and take the test, we can finish it before the 5th of June. Yeah, the test will be given on the 5th of June. You can take it on the same date anywhere in the world. So it's up to you to decide. The mock can help you understand whether you're ready. Yeah. So Tatiana, if it took too long, perhaps you can take a similar test. I can share another mock. Yeah, and you can stick to timing and decide how ready you are, or you can use the test.
I found
the one from the hand.
task 4 the most difficult one.
4.
Yeah, task
like
4.
evaluation.
It's when you have to evaluate the performance.
Yeah.
The hardest one.
Really? Oh, that's funny. I think you did it well. Yeah. Anyway, so if your score is something like 80%, yeah, or 80 out of 100 points, basically, yeah, that's okay. You can sign up for the test. It's likely to be at least a pass, probably above standard, but might be just a pass. If it's like 60%, 50%, you may consider it, maybe postponing for December and training yourself a little bit more. And of course, the speed is very important. So whatever you decide, it's up to you. Obviously, if you're not taking the test, I shared a poll a couple of weeks ago, and I think only one person was saying something like they will sign up with a different center, and the rest was saying that they were not taking. You're not taking it, Tatiana?
No, not this summer. Because I have to like save up some money because I have to go to another country, pay for the exam, pay for hotel, so it's going to cost a lot. That's why like I'll give myself some time just to save up some money.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, then we are not in a hurry and we can finish even like in the middle of June. But I think, yeah, it won't be necessary. So at the beginning of June, the course will be over. And the final thing that I usually run in May, well, I'm saying usually, but this will be the second time, marathon. Remember, Maria, you took part in that marathon last year. So if this year you are considering taking the test, perhaps you can take it again. It'll be free for you, course participants. And yeah, if you are an outsider, it'll cost nearly the same as a model. Yeah. It will be delivered by Telegram. I won't be holding any Zoom meetings. Just all the tasks, prompts. It's an 8-day marathon, and each day we're focusing on one task from Delta Model 1. So as simple as that. Those who want to brush up on task format, yeah, terminology, they found it useful. So it proved efficient, really a good thing. Yes.
It is at the end of May, yeah? Am I
Yes,
right?
I think I've announced that the beginning will be the 19th of May. And for 8 days, we are doing that intensive practice. We can do it parallel, yeah, still discussing some of the issues at the end of the course. So we'll see how it goes. Right, that's a little bit of housekeeping. Now, we've started the model on assessment. I shared one task only and a few books. So the book that I recommend exploring is by, what's his first name? Now I've forgotten. Jeremy Hughes, I think, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Hughes. Or any other books that I've shared with you, because in all of them, I looked through all of them again. In all of them, you have some input on the most important features of tests, the most important components, the differences between like evaluation, assessment, and so on. I also created a text, yeah, which I shared with the task based on the new edition of the A to Z by Scott Thornberry. It's a concise way of exploring what assessment is like. Again, if you've read some of the books already, it's good for brushing up on terminology. If you want to become aware in a very fast way, yeah, of what assessment is like, it's also good enough. But otherwise, I would recommend reading some other books too. I also have some other books on testing and assessment, but they're not scanned. So if I have time to scan some of them, perhaps I'll share them too. I think only Tatiana might be ready with the task, yeah? Have you read that summary or? Good. That's okay. We are going to get started, but Maria took CAM course with me. So she's likely to be aware of most of the terms. And she read something about assessment already. So let's get started. Right. So what we're going to talk about today? Today, it will be just an introductory session. I won't be sharing Delta Model 1 task. We'll focus on the tasks next time. But I'll give you some hints why it's necessary to remember this and that. Yeah. So it's mostly about terminology and assessment, testing in general. So here I have a set of questions. And I'm going to mute myself for a couple of minutes, perhaps, and you discuss, taking turns, the answers to these questions. So over to you, Tatiana and Maria.
So, Tatiana, do you believe that assessment helps you or hinders the learning?
So I stick to the point that assessment can really help me to understand at what level my students are, and it can help me to see maybe some lacks of knowledge of my students, and due to this I can maybe change something in my teaching. What do you think?
That assessment, I do agree with you to a certain extent, but I do believe that assessment is just the initial starting point for any teaching process and development process. Because if you know your starting point, you can evaluate your progress and you can track and understand your weaknesses and strengths. This is the main idea of assessment for me in terms of teaching foreign language. And another thing is that I'd like students to be able to assess themselves and their own level of language. That's why I believe more in self-assessment rather than in assessment, because I do not believe that it can be objective.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because we don't evaluate solid ground. We evaluate skills, and they are dynamic. It is a dynamic system. So it might change depending on your psychological state, on the environment, and many, many other facts.
Okay. So what about the second? So it depends how much time do I have before my students have to do the test. So I try to write my own tests because I know what my students good at or bad at, and also I can make the test more suitable for them, and maybe I have some like assumptions about what they might lack. And by preparing my own test, I can find it out. But of course, if I don't have enough time, I'll use the test from the book we are working on.
Great that you are capable of it. I'm not, I don't believe that I'm a highly qualified specialist to write the test itself. I rely on course materials a lot. I can tweak a test depending on the level of my students. I can include or exclude some of the tasks. I can change something. Sometimes I use different artificial intelligence in order to create a vocabulary test or communicative tasks, including the vocab which my students are struggling with, or grammar points which they are struggling with, but I don't, I have never created the whole test from the beginning to the end without any source of, I mean, without using course book or methodological recommendation, because each course book, they've got their recommendation for teachers. I rely on them. First, I read them thoroughly because they've got a huge amount of information. And if you are capable of using it, it will provide your student with thorough grounding. Do not invent language if there are methodologists who have already done their job, and it's a good idea to make the best use of this information available. That's my approach. Probably it's too weak because I don't develop further in terms of creating tests, but I do believe that it is a waste of time if there are balanced tests which are created. You can just change them slightly depending on your students and depending on your goals of that testing, and that's it. You don't need to create it. Why?
Okay. Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. So about the difference, so as I understand, testing is a form of assessment focused mostly on learners' knowledge at a particular moment. For example, when we do a test at the end of the unit, it's often more formal and structured. So in terms of assessment, I see it as a more broader term, which include various methods to find or collect the information about your learner process. And evaluation is about judging the effectiveness of our course or our program. So what do you think?
Yeah, I do agree with you on the definitions. And I think that we need testing just to control the acquisition of language, yeah, control how well they acquire different skills and what might be done or what might be revised in order to improve something, yeah, as a tool for further development. As for assessment and evaluation, they are to a certain extent equal for me, interchangeable in some cases, because evaluation is a sort of assessment as well. And I can't, frankly speaking, can you explain the main difference between them?
So as I understood, so assessment is collecting information about the learner's progress, and evaluation is about like judging the your course effectiveness. So how your course or your program is
Assessment is
effective.
connected to the student's progress, while evaluation is connected to the success of the course itself.
Yeah, so at least
Any
I
learners.
found information like this. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's according to the text that
Yeah,
Anna
in
shared.
many books on assessment, you will see this perspective. Obviously, in some less specific books, yeah, in books not related to testing in general, these terms can be used interchangeably, right? So that's why we have some kind of confusion, and Scott Thornberry clarified the difference in that way. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So evaluation is a wider term when we focus on like pluses and minuses, yeah, pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages, good points and bad points of something. It can be students' work. We evaluate students' work. And usually evaluation is used in the term of self-evaluation, yeah. That perspective, students can evaluate each other's works, for example, yeah, or their own work. They can evaluate the usefulness of the lesson at the end of the lesson and give you feedback on that. Yeah? And that will contribute to the evaluation of the course in general. You can say you assess the course. That's also possible, especially if you are the assessor. Yeah? So assessment is something associated with testing. And as you said, testing is a more formal way of assessing something. Right? Okay, move on. So reasons for giving tests.
So we have different types of tests. That's why I think that we can use them for different reasons as well. For example, in terms of placement test, we just want to determine a learner's level at the start of the course. Also, we have, for example, formative tests. So this can give us some understanding of our students' achievements during the course. Also, we have a kind of a self-assessment. Can it be a kind of a test? No, it's not. So we have also criterion reference assessment or tests which we use to measure students' knowledge based on some standards. What else? And other types of tests can provide us with other crucial information, not only for our students, but also for us as the teachers.
So what you're saying is we need to use and give tests to collect information about students, like understanding, performance, or something like that, right? And there might be some other tools that we can use, yeah? So if we just swap the questions and move to the last one, yeah? What other tools can be used for collecting information about the students? For assessing them. Maria, what do you have?
But it can be a formal and informal assessment. If we're talking about
Yeah.
informal assessment, it can be spontaneous day-to-day observation of how students behave and perform in the class.
Yeah.
So it just can be a written record of their performance sometimes, giving them feedback, because they can track this progress, especially if we're talking about productive skills. It's very difficult for them. If receptive skills, they can evaluate using different tests. If we're talking about productive skills, there is no strict scale how to evaluate them for them. I mean, for us, it's obvious, we see their development, but they do not observe it, because
it's harder to see.
the main intention for them to express their mind and to get their message across.
Good.
That's why they don't think how well they developed in this area.
Tatiana, is there anything to add?
For example, I know the platform like Woodward or something like that, where you can create a small task for your students, and they can practice some grammar or vocabulary units.
So we can use practice activities to assess students, right? It's still less formal, yeah, because they don't consider such activities as tests, yeah. So something that Marie just mentioned, and you keep observing and collecting information about your learners at the same time. So tests are something that students are aware you are assessing them, yeah. Every lesson you start with a short quiz to revise something, yeah. Perhaps they consider it a test. Especially if you collect those, yeah, and give them feedback later on. If it's just an activity, yeah, you can group them, they can work in pairs, they can help each other. That's a different thing, but it doesn't mean you are not collecting anything. You can still figure out what they need in the future, right? Let's talk about formal tests now. So those quizzes and whatnot. I think in that text, in the summary, and in many books on assessment, there is a point made that usually we focus on linguistic competence. Yeah, we collect information about their knowledge of grammar or vocabulary from our lessons, or accuracy when they produce texts, for example, or give a presentation. Do you agree with me? So what else can be considered? What else do we need to assess?
Sorry, do we what?
What else can we consider? What else is necessary to assess? Apart from linguistic competence, there is a bigger thing, communicative competence, right? And there are certain components there. So if you want to assess communicative competence, what will you be, what kind of task will you have to create? What kind of test will that be?
Dialects, yeah, also writing essay, also, yeah, this.
So productive task, Maria has mentioned, yeah, productive tasks, and that it's harder to assess them. Which terms, in terms of features of tests, like here I've got 3 prompts: objectivity, validity, and reliability. Which terms can be used to talk about productive tasks? They're less objective. Yeah, there is an element of subjectivity, like what is a good presentation or what is a good essay. What else?
They're less reliable because you not always, you can't trust all the results, because it's dependent on the, again, it's psychological mechanism of speaking, which is a dynamic system.
True.
And sometimes students can be just
not in the mood.
yes, not in the mood,
Yeah.
or they don't have much to say about this particular topic. It's
Exactly,
not their
exactly.
part of interest. That's why they are not fascinated by the topic.
So,
That's very hard to judge and
True.
evaluate objectively.
Anything else? Yeah, Tatiana?
so if I'm not mistaken, one of the feature of formal test is its validity. It's measures accurately what it intends to measure. Yeah, so is it about that?
Yeah, that too, obviously. So depending on what you want to assess, right? So for example, if you want to collect information about the language students can use, you can't push your students to use, like, let's say, adjectives, some particular forms or some particular words in their speech if you're not giving them, like, use them. If there is such a prompt, you're already changing the task and it lacks authenticity. So such tests might be more valid for students, but at the same time, they're hardly ever reliable. And there is something else, practicability or practicality. Yeah, in different books, these terms can be used. It's very hard to measure, actually, the performance. What can help us? And we can increase objectivity, validity, reliability.
Again, artificial intelligence can help in this.
Okay, but even artificial,
because,
let's imagine you're asking
has,
a GPT chat, for example, to assess your student's essay. Yeah. Do you need to put it in such a way so it becomes reliable?
Criteria, for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider, right? So criterion-based assessment, yeah, Tatiana, you mentioned. And what's another one? If there are no criteria given.
Backwash, the result of
No,
it.
hold on. There is another way of assessing such things. Norm referenced, remember?
It's when you like assess students within a group.
Yeah, that's actually what Delta Model 1 is like. That's what TKT test is like. First, they collect all the responses, then they evaluate them, and they decide, like, 65 points will be a pass, yeah, 75 points will be pass with merit, and etc. So what I'm saying is, that's why we don't know, yeah, how many points you need to earn to achieve a pass, because each test is slightly different. Yeah, and this year perhaps it's easier than last year or the other way around. And they figure out, yeah, like, if most of the candidates achieved, let's say, 60%, it'll be a pass. Okay. So you can do the same with your students. To be honest, I often do that with my students because the focus is on writing, and assessing essays is a hard thing. So first I collect all the works. I look at one stronger student response, yeah, and one weaker student's response, and I figure out how to grade them. And then only I share some points, more specific comments. So I decide on my priorities on the go. All right, so that's a good beginning already, yeah, for this session. I think we've covered the most important terms, and I've decided to show you only 4 definitions at the beginning of this model, something that we can consider at the very beginning, yeah, the differences of which we've already talked about. So look at definition A and tell me.
Is it evaluation? Not evaluation, just a moment. Assessment.
Yes,
assessment is a broader, yeah. Assessment. Is it correct?
Yes, assessment. Yeah, the slide is not animated, but A is assessment. Very good.
And B is testing.
Very good. It's testing.
So
yeah,
the next
okay.
one is evaluation.
That's right. Yeah, it's frequently used to talk about giving feedback on something.
Informal testing or
Yes,
informal
very good.
evaluation?
Fantastic.
Assessment.
Informal assessment.
Okay, those are big things, but there will be some specific terms that we'll brush up on a bit later if we have time today, but maybe the other time, we'll see. So you've mentioned a couple of reasons for taking tests, yeah? For giving tests and taking tests. To plan a course of study, you've mentioned that, yeah? So what kind of tests can you set up to collect information at the beginning of the course or before the course starts?
Diagnostic test, can it be?
Yeah, that's
Or
right.
placement.
Or placement, yeah. What's the difference between them, Maria?
Placement test can help you evaluate the level of language. I mean, which group you can put the students in order to progress more sufficiently.
Yeah. So
Ah,
placement test is taken before the course starts, right? And diagnostic at the beginning of the course. So you've got already like 10 students, yeah, or something of this level, let's say intermediate, and you want to figure out their strengths and weaknesses. This is diagnostic. Okay. There are some other reasons. So for example, to assess the achievements.
Achievement test.
Okay, yeah. What type of assessment is that? What's the term?
Continuous.
Summative.
No.
summative, yeah.
And the other way is
Formative.
formative, right? We do it usually during the course and it helps us shape the course, yeah, form the components. There might be some other reasons, of course, like the one at the bottom. For example, I'm hiring students for Delta, yeah? I'm using this type of test. What do we call that?
Maybe so it can be norm referenced or criterion referenced.
It can be, definitely, but there is a specific term. If you want to enter university, you take a test and you're either there or you're not.
Entrance, no?
Entrance, that's possible, yeah, which is similar to placement, yeah. It's called barrier test.
Barrier test.
Barrier, yeah. So there are certain barriers.
Ah,
The Russian state exam can function as a barrier test for those who are entering universities. So there is a certain benchmark, let's say, for entering universities. Okay, which test we can use to motivate, to encourage, to inform?
peer assessment or self-assessment,
That's possible.
because it can be
definitely.
motivating.
Yeah, but that's not a test yet.
Progress?
Yeah, I'd say progress. Something like, remember, I gave you an example at the beginning of the session, like every second day, for example, yeah, you are giving them a quiz to revise, to consolidate, to show what they've learned, yeah, they remember, something like that. Those regular things. Formative assessment, it's part of formative assessment for sure. Okay, right, let's move on. Yeah, so have you mentioned all of them?
Proficiency, we haven't mentioned proficiency.
So what do you think proficiency? Okay, I think I've got a whole table. So let's do it in order. Yeah, the purpose of the placement test is to
and collect information about students' level at the start of the course.
identify their level, right? To recommend the course for them. And when do we use it?
At the start of the course.
Before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't know which course to offer.
Mhm.
You want to identify it. And diagnostic is used?
To find out their needs.
Right, strengths and weaknesses within the level already. And when do we do it?
Before the course.
Yeah, at the beginning of the course. Yeah,
Oh.
like comparing placement and diagnostic. So probably the first couple of lessons, yeah, you'll be using some diagnostic tools. And of course, it'll be ongoing, but yeah, at the beginning, it's particularly important. Okay, progress.
To mhm. To collect information about the students' knowledge during the course.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Probably to motivate and encourage too, because quite often they can demonstrate what they've learned, which is reassuring. And when do we do it?
During the course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And achievement, unlike progress.
At the end, so what they've learned within
have
the
achieved
unit
so
or the course.
Yeah, to highlight the achievements. And yes, at the end of the course. Okay, now we've come to the point which we haven't discussed yet. So you'll have to think, yeah, what's the purpose of a proficiency test?
Is it like IELTS or?
Yes.
Mhm.
IELTS or Cambridge?
To measure students' abilities and skills in all areas of, I mean, in productive and receptive skills altogether.
Okay, so skills and systems, yeah, can be assessed. Yeah, general ability, communicative perhaps, competence, that's the one we are assessing. And when do we use it?
At any time.
So basically, yeah, it doesn't depend on the course of studies. Yeah, anyone can take it,
As
whether they
particular
have preparation.
for the learner themselves.
Exactly. So for example, IELTS, a colleague of mine used to call an expensive placement test. You don't have to prepare for it. Yeah, you come with your own resources. Yeah, you demonstrate what you can do, and you are given a score. This is it, right? Regardless of a course of study. And barrier tests are used to
select appropriate students.
Yeah, approve candidates. Yeah, select candidates. That's right. And when can we use such tests?
Before the course.
Yeah, so before, for example, a university course or something. Similar to placement, right? But the results are either yes or no. Okay, good. So let's consider what can be assessed. We've already talked about linguistic competence and communicative competence. So if we take only linguistic competence, what can be assessed?
Grammar. Vocabulary.
Grammar
and that's it. Okay, let's talk about communicative competence then. What else can be assessed?
Writing.
Writing. What else, Maria?
Speaking, monologue, dialogue.
Different genres. So there is already a discourse level. Yeah. Okay. So I've created. Oops. Yeah, I'm not showing what I've created, but hold on, yeah. Just some prompts from the beginning of the course, yeah. How we split our lessons. They actually reflect our understanding of what should be taught. And this is only linguistic competence. Within linguistic competence, we need to be able to read and understand information, yeah, or produce text and so on. And in terms of systems, yeah, we can talk about functional language. We can talk about discourse awareness, pronunciation, differences in meaning, and so on. So, use of language, definitely. That's everyone is aware of. Skills, right? Strategies, it will be particularly important for exam classes, but it might be important for life.
How do we need to do listening task and reading
For
task?
example, yeah. Even like respecting the time limit, yeah, or using the format which is recommended or something like that. We can also test students whether they're making progress or not, yeah, their in stagnation, their active participation, and so on. It's more about assessment, but still. And yeah, suitability for a job, for example, or a course of study. So using some informal tools as well. Have a look at the things I've highlighted in this word cloud. What do they belong to? What is blank? What's the area? What's the focus of testing?
Grammar.
Grammar, of course. Yes, that's it. Oops. Why don't I have grammar? Hold on. It's just, sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Should be grammar. Yes, okay, here we go. So there are some other areas. Yeah, so we've mentioned systems. We also mentioned skills. I've selected these areas for our consideration. So let's take Lexis. What will be a subcategory there? Could you give me an example?
Appropriacy, can it be?
Yeah. What choice, for example? Yeah, something like that. Okay, I created a Jamboard. This is the time to share the link to the Jamboard. Let me find it. Okay, as there are only 2 of you, I suggest we work on the same page. I've created several pages, yeah? But we can work on the same page. Let's take page 1. But let's split responsibilities. So Lexis, for example, will go to Tatiana. Yeah, what's the next one? Punctuation will go to Maria, if you don't mind. Yeah, and then reading will go to Tatiana. Listening will go to Maria. Maria, do you have any preferences, speaking or writing?
No preferences. Punctuation, what is mine else?
Punctuation, listening, and let's take writing for you, okay? And Tatiana, you are taking Lexis, reading and speaking, okay? So you just use the text boxes and add your ideas, considering the areas that we can focus on. I'll give you a couple of moments to think, and I'll be showing the screen.
We shouldn't, can we write?
Yeah, sure, of course. It's a Jamboard. So you just click on the menu, text box, and you add a comment, right?
Oh, how to do it?
Text
just
on the left.
Okay.
Got it.
Can I do it like this?
Yeah, why not? It doesn't matter. Just put it in the right box, yeah, or next to that box at least. Range and depth, you mean accuracy?
Okay, yes.
Range and accuracy of vocabulary, that's a good one. Something that we did for task 4, for example, yeah. Assessing students' performance. Very good. Oh. You can move the boxes. Right. Oh, nice. Yeah, great. Hold on. Spelling and punctuation are 2 different things. I think spelling will go to Lexis, don't you think, guys?
Okay. Yes.
Good. Maria, are you typing anything?
I thought about punctuation, and that misled me. And we evaluate like orthography. I thought about orthography and punctuation, that there they say,
What can you consider in punctuation? Like using commas, complex sentences,
capital
full
letters,
stop at the,
commas, and
capitalization,
like this.
absolutely.
And it's the drawback of Russian exam, because orthography, and we include spelling there, and all the punctuation.
That's okay. That's okay.
They
No
will
worries.
generalize it. And that's
So is it about only testing our students, or in terms of reading, can we mention, for example, pre-teaching vocabulary? Is it about this? Or
Maybe no. You are assessing students' reading skill. So what do they have
reading
to be
skills?
capable of? Probably understand certain words. Maybe figure out the meaning of some unfamiliar words.
Okay.
See what I mean? So it's a strategy and knowledge too.
Okay.
Types of reading, I think it's like being able to identify which reading to use, which strategy to apply, whether to read quickly, or delve into every word and every idea, something like that.
Okay, so types of reading, we can skip it, yes? We can delete it.
Just identifying the type, the genre, and type of reading. Yeah, might be actually, you can leave it as it is. It's important.
Like this.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Also, maybe some opinions, being able to figure out the implied meaning, like reading beyond lines and words.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm repeating myself. So it's, you said, through the context. Like understand something within the context.
Yeah, good.
Should we include grammar, like understand sentence structure and?
Probably, why not? Yeah, I think it might be important in some cases of like complex text of particular genres. Very good, very good. Okay, there are productive skills left, let's focus on those.
I'm speaking, just a moment, let me. So in terms of speaking, it can be fluency, yes. Accuracy, of course.
Okay, two opposites, yeah.
Okay. See.
So now
but
think
what,
about what contributes to accuracy or fluency. What do they need to be able to use?
what about that ability to engage in conversation? Can we
Very
mention
good.
that?
Fantastic. Maintain the conversation. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Sometimes being able to interrupt others, to chip in. Sometimes, yeah, holding the floor or passing it over to others. Very good. That's more about fluency, right? How about accuracy then, Tatiana?
Pronunciation.
Absolutely.
Fluency, accuracy. Can you help me with the rest? So I don't know, ability to engage, fluency, accuracy, pronunciation.
Language. What exactly do they have to use? Maybe some discourse markers, yeah. Maybe they need to use some particular semantic field, yeah, words from the same semantic field, synonyms, yeah, they'll be able to paraphrase something to clarify their opinions and so on.
So what about this one?
Very good. Coherence, yeah, that's also important. Great, fantastic. Okay, great. Awesome ideas. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, all of them are relevant. I'm going to show my slide in a moment. Yeah, but just have a look at each other's ideas. Maybe you have some comments. Yeah, the level of formality, that's, yeah, great. Organizational features, yeah, they are particularly important for writing. Good. Any questions to each other?
So about the Lexis, do we need to add anything here? Ah, you're going to show us, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, the list is endless. Yeah, you can think about some other components, and they will depend on the task. Remember what we did in paper 1, task 3 and task 4. Task 3 was a productive task evaluation, and we came up with some features. Task 4 was evaluating students' work, students' response, which we did considering some criteria given. But you can create a set of criteria for your students. And in this task, you'll be figuring out the relevance of a particular test to the student. You'll be evaluating the effectiveness of this tool. And of course, that will depend on your understanding what the test is created for, its purpose, the criteria beyond, yeah, something that is obvious, and so on. All right. So if there are no questions to each other, let me share my slides. And here are some ideas that I've got.
Accurate spelling, knowledge of word formation. Okay.
Why not? Yeah, that's how we can create new words. Like with my university students, I frequently remind them that it's important to consider different words from the same word family to avoid repetition, to paraphrase.
So what choice? It's appropriacy, yes?
Yeah, appropriacy, yeah. Like you can also focus on collocations, of course, but it might be considered as a grammar point, you know, there is an overlap. Mhm.
Knowledge and insight. Mhm. Mhm. So discuss markers is like in addition, moreover, in my opinion. So these key phrases, yes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To help you maintain this conversation, to make your speech cohesive and coherent. Sometimes you need to shift from one idea to another. You'll be using a specific discourse marker to provide that transition. Sometimes you connect similar ideas, yeah, or you paraphrase something. So with the help of discourse markers, you can do that. Okay. Again, don't
Reading
restrict
and
yourself with
Lexis,
the
they're
list. Yeah, Maria?
reading and Lexis, they're very similar. I mean, so
Reading
understanding my
and what?
idea and listening, they're very
Yeah,
similar.
they're receptive skills, obviously, of
So
course. Yeah.
we are almost evaluating the same. Understanding the main idea, yeah.
Yep.
So understanding some details in the text, yeah.
Mhm.
Being able to understand the attitude and opinion of the speakers or author, yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
how we
enforce
receive
many.
information, yeah, and what we do to work out the message.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is something to consider. So what do we need to assess? Yeah, that depends on the student's needs. Like quite often, our students are reluctant to write. They don't want to write much, yeah. And there is a reason behind that. They won't need it in real life. If they're not entering a university from abroad, if they are not immigrating, yeah, let's say, or yeah, so if they are not working in a scientific environment, yeah, like academic context, they don't need to produce long text. They might be texting to their friends or colleagues. They might be communicating orally, and that'll be good enough for them, right? Which is why if you give them a test with written or writing practice embedded there, they might have questions and they might be demotivated to take part in such a thing, right? So what does it affect?
Their involvement.
Yeah, validity of the test. If the test has this writing component, yeah, it won't be valid for these students who perceive their needs as something else, not writing, not developing their writing skills. But quite often we give them written practice because we want them to practice language. And you can always justify that this is a practice task. That's how you can remember the language better and something else. So it's valid in terms of their language needs, right? So we are always referring to the student's needs in that task. Okay, let's move on. So we've mentioned already different types of tests, yeah? And I'm going to show you a word cloud. I think we've already mentioned formal, informal tests, yeah, or assessment. So if it's formal, the students are aware they're taking a quiz, they will be assessed. If it is informal, you're just observing them, they're doing certain tasks without being stressed. At least they're not very stressed. What other things you can see here? Something that we haven't discussed yet. like
So
continuous. Hold on.
direct and discrete
Yeah.
item test.
Yeah, okay.
So I found the definition. So direct tests assess overall ability in a real world context, while discrete item tests focus on specific knowledge areas such as grammar, for example. Is it correct?
Yeah, so discrete item is when you can identify what exactly you are assessing.
Like grammar.
Articles, present perfect, past tenses, something like that. This is discrete item. If it's not discrete, but they will have to use articles, different tenses, and so on. What do we call it? Integrative. There are many components that we are assessing at the same time. Quite often in productive tasks, yeah, produce an essay. Of course, you will have to use different types of items, yeah, language items. So it'll be called integrative. Okay, Maria, could you clarify direct and indirect tests, what they are like?
Direct, if you do it personally?
No, if you do it directly. So, for example, you want to assess
you evaluate what you
grammar.
evaluate. Yes?
Yeah, and you
It's a grammar test, so we evaluate
a
just
grammar
grammar.
transformation or a gap fill. It's clear that you are assessing grammar directly. If you want to assess their writing and you are asking your students to produce an essay, it's a direct test of writing. But it will be an indirect test of tenses, for example, because they'll have to use some tenses, yeah, but indirectly. You're not asking them to use like past simple or something.
Or doing listening, they have to write. It's indirect writing evaluation, like spelling evaluate, and at the same time, it's direct for listening.
Exactly. So whatever terms you are using to define, to describe, to evaluate test, always make it specific. It's a direct test of It's integrative because it's a combination of yeah. It's likely to be a discrete item test of and so on. Always of something. Otherwise, this is vague, right? You can't comment just using terms. So I've got this matching activity, which I'm going to share for you at the end of the lesson, right? In our Telegram chat, you can follow links and do matching to work on terminology a little bit more, something that we've already talked about. Perhaps now we can focus on this. It's a summary about assessment terms, about what tests are like and what not. And I've created 6 gaps here. So hopefully, based on your overall understanding of assessment, you can figure out which words are missing. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to read the text and to take notes, which words you think are missing, okay? So 2 minutes, we can actually turn off our mics, and if necessary, you can turn off your camera. Okay, if you're ready, let's get started. Tatiana, what do you have for number 1?
So I suppose it's a formal.
Absolutely right, yeah, formal. Mhm.
And the next one, informal.
It's
Mhm.
likely to be informal, right? Does it make sense, Maria?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, how about number 3? What do you have?
Summative.
Number 3, you mean?
Number 3.
Yeah, but we have the next part, progress in a particular management of a task or behavior.
I don't know about 3.
It's actually continuous because it's done throughout the course, not necessarily at
opposite.
the end of the course, right? Mhm. But if you consider each progress test as a kind of achievement test, yeah, we've done this model, that's what we've achieved. You can call it summative, but usually summative is taken at the end. Okay, how about number 5?
Is it discrete?
Discrete.
Is it a combination of various language elements?
Ah, okay. So it's then what do we call it?
Integrative, yes.
Integrative.
Yes, very good. And number 6 should be easy.
Direct.
Yeah, of course, direct and indirect, yeah. Okay, I don't think I have a slide with the answers, but I'll share my slides with the answers. Yeah, I decided to hide it for whatever reason. Don't ask me. Yeah, but I'm confirming your ideas. Well done. Now, have a look at this word cloud. Here we've got some terms that we can use to refer to assessment. Yeah, first of all, different ways of describing different tests. Yeah, like formal and informal, we've talked about that. Objective and subjective. So what contributes to the overall objectivity of a test? Hello? Hard to say. Like if it's a gap fill, yeah, and you know it's like articles, it's likely to be relatively objective, yeah? Like I can see a cat, yeah, a cat is the only, I don't know, probable and likely option. Sometimes, of course, like with my university students, I sometimes create gap fills myself, and I feel they can still be creative. For example, they use synonyms quite often. Or even with articles, if like it is given within a limited context, only a sentence, yeah, they start arguing. No, we can say the cat. I'm talking about my cat, for example, or something. Yeah. So if there is only one option which is correct, which can be considered as correct, the test is likely to be objective. If there are different ways and you don't consider them, you don't count the answers which they're giving you, then it lacks objectivity already. Yeah. And of course, in productive tasks, although we refer to a set of criteria, still there is our perspective there when we assess them. So it's likely to be subjective, right? Okay, well, let's take the box with formative, continuous, and summative. So we've just covered in the previous activity the differences between continuous and summative. Yeah, summative is done at the end. So if you're giving students an achievement test, we call it summative assessment. Are formative and continuous synonyms? Can we use them interchangeably?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, Maria, what's your impression?
I think that continuous, it's ongoing assessment. That's why it involves a lot of things more than.
Yeah, different components. That's right. Yeah.
Maybe formative more formal. Like,
Okay,
so
it's more
formative
about the
is not
purpose. Yeah,
Mm.
continuous is done throughout the course. Yeah,
Mhm.
we are using this term to highlight that it is done regularly during the course. It's continuous. We can call the same tool as part of formative assessment because it helps us shape the course. So the
But
purpose of this, of using such tools, and there might be different tools you are using, yeah, to figure out what to do next with your students, then it's formative assessment.
okay, so the main difference between them, formative is to a test which can help you to tail your
Mhm.
your
Tailor
like
your
your
course, yeah,
course,
your
yeah,
materials, yeah.
and change something. And continuous is more about students and helping them.
Continuous is more about timing. It's done during the course.
Mhm. Like we do a small
Progress test.
progress test
Yeah.
at the beginning of each lesson.
Something like this. But in continuous, we also consider informal tools, as Maria has mentioned. Yeah, there are different ways, different components. So you're just observing your students during your lessons. It's also part of continuous assessment, right? So one and the same thing can be called formative and continuous. It's just two different perspectives. What's the opposite of summative?
Diagnostic or placement test.
Oh, interesting. Also, yeah, I would agree
Because
with that.
this one we do at
I was
the end.
hoping to hear formative.
Ah, okay.
Formative that shapes the course, summative to show what they've achieved.
Mhm.
Continuous done during the course in formal and informal ways. Yeah, summative at the end of the course, focusing on achievement, evaluation of the course, and so on. Okay, let's focus on the other box that we've got here with different types of scoring systems. Yeah. Who can give me an example of an analytical scale where you've seen those and how they look?
Common European frameworks.
Okay.
With criteria with clear description of which.
So what are the criteria then?
Depending on the skill we are evaluating.
Okay. So basically analytical scales, yeah, can be used to talk about criterion reference testing. Right? Good. Okay. Yeah, that's part of it. Okay. And holistic scoring is when we consider
All
Continuous
students'
assessment.
performance.
yeah. So different components, different test tools, yeah, different types of criteria depending on the skill and so on. Like, for example, a CELTA course, if you remember your CELTAs, during the course, yeah, the assessment is holistic. So your active participation will also contribute to the overall scoring, yeah, and the results of the course. And also your teaching, of course, and your assignments, the quality of the written work, and so on. This is holistic for sure. And norm referencing, something that we've mentioned already, but I just want to reinforce, learning the new term. Who can remind me what's that for?
So it's when you assess a student within a group.
Yeah, so you figure out the benchmark for passing, for example, yeah, and what will be beyond standard, and how to assess and which points to give to different students, yeah. All right, yeah, all the definitions will be on the slide, and also at the bottom you can see the links to the Quizlet sets if you want to revise. Now let's think about different task types. Yeah, when we use formal tests, we usually design different tasks. So here you can see some of the tasks. So what might be a reason for using, for example, a gap fill? What is likely to be a reason? Why do we need gap fills? We like gap fills. They're easy to create. So practicability is fantastic.
Practical, yeah.
Yeah, but what's the main reason? What do we want to assess?
The understanding of the rule?
So
Or-
discrete item tests, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's likely to be that. Okay. What might be the reason for using sentence transformation then? My favorite, to be honest. Maria? What do you think?
Ability to paraphrase and grammar
Yeah.
competences,
Mhm.
and linguistic competence in this case.
If they're well designed, usually there are a couple of things that you are assessing, at least a couple of things, something lexical and something grammatical.
Yeah, range of grammar and range of vocab.
Exactly. So which means it will be integrative already. And also they will have to write. So there is a little bit of writing practice as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, yeah. So you're killing two birds at least with one stone. How about close tests? Tatiana, do you know what it is like? Maria, could you
I
clarify?
think that, I might be wrong, but we have open questions when you need to write your own ideas and you can use your own linguistic devices. Whereas in closed questions, probably we have.
It's about
I'm
test.
asking about this.
Close. I thought about closed questions. Closed test, it's where we need to insert one word in the gap. And it testing, again, linguistic competence, because normally they're technical words, I mean, not meaningful words.
So a closed test is designed so that each, for example, ninth word has been removed from the text. And it might be either a content word or a function word, as you said. Yeah. Every
But
ninth, every
they're
11th,
function.
every 6th.
If we're talking about Cambridge exams, they are normally functional words. They
Maybe they're not
dedicate.
closed tests then. Yeah, so classic closed test will be every ninth, for example, word. And then obviously you can't just pick only articles. It won't be possible. It's never a discrete item test.
Because if we're talking about validity in this case, yeah, there can be many synonyms for one word, and that's also increase the level of challenge of assessment for teachers, and you can
and subjectivity. But quite often there are some fixed phrases, collocations, and although you can use a synonym, one will be better than the other. Yeah. So there is a preferred version of the word, or anyway, this is it. So a closed test is similar to a gap fill, but it can be computer generated. You just ask like a GPT chart to remove every ninth word, and you will get it. But the focus is less specific. It's more about discourse level awareness. Okay, so have a look at other task types. I hope you know multiple choice, what they are like. Yeah. So why we might use multiple choice? What for?
Again, it's very practical.
Yeah, definitely. It's very easy to mark.
Reading, listening, skill. Easy to read, easy to conduct, easy to.
Yeah. True. Yeah. So it's all about how practical it is. will it be sufficient for evaluating, for example, listening skills if there is only one multiple choice test?
Of course not.
Not really.
Because they can guess, right?
Yeah.
Some of the things are guessable. All right, so what I've got, yeah, let's talk about validity, reliability, practicality or practicability, and backwash effect, which is which. If we trust the results, I don't remember if this slide is animated. No,
It's the first one is reliability.
yes, absolutely right. It is animated.
Second is backwash.
Backwash, that's right.
The next one, validity.
Validity, absolutely right.
And the last what is left, practicality.
Practicality, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What is important for you as a teacher or test designer? I think practicality comes first, honestly, because yeah, having collected like 30 tests from your students, yeah, you want to stay sane. So there will be some multiple choice tasks for sure, right? And gap fills, the ones that you know the answers for. And there will be, of course, some open questions to make the test still more valid and reliable, because you want to collect more information about the students, right? How about backwash? Do you think that being aware of what test is likely to be is likely to have a positive effect on the learners? They'll be more motivated to explore the variety of tasks and language, for example, yeah, rules, whatever, with you.
Depending whether it's positive backwash or negative.
Like being aware of what the test is like, does it likely to impact in a positive way?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right.
If they know what they expect, it's easier for them to be prepared.
Yeah, so there is another drawback, obviously. Yeah, you don't want them to cram for the test all the time. You want them to learn and be more fluent. Not only accuracy is preferred.
And more creative in terms of usage.
Exactly.
That's why I hate this Russian state exam where we teaching for structure, not for the language itself.
Right. So one more word cloud. And this is something that will be a homework. We don't have time to delve into all validity types. So just a couple of hints, yeah, like face validity. Remember the layout, the difference between layout and organization. So face validity is something visual, like layout. So if I look at the test and it's like sentence transformation, it springs to mind, yeah, grammar and lexis, yeah. Or if I look at like write an essay, clearly it has face validity because students will be aware of the purpose of the test, right? Construct validity is how it is designed. And again, it contributes to face validity. They go back to back. What is content validity about?
Active vocabulary or what?
Ideas, yeah, topic-wise. Yeah, so for example, you've covered education, environment, I don't know, medicine perhaps, and in a test they see something medicine related. It's got content validity. If there is an odd topic, it's questionable, right? Yeah, whether they're ready for that and it's valid for them. Okay, and a couple of other things. Now, in terms of the reliability, yeah, so who is the scorer?
Depending on the type of the test, sometimes we've got a strict score, which is known for the student. I mean,
it's like marker. So in this case, it's like the person who is marking the test.
Teacher?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And if one and the same person marks the same test, like after a period of time, in the same way, it's good they score reliability, yeah, or different scorers, evaluate the test, the results, yeah, in the same way. It's good score reliability. It's reliable in that sense, yeah.
Like we at school, we don't check our own students. We always check other students. I mean, especially preparing for exams, you're not given your own students, especially the SS and their speaking performance. We have to evaluate other students, giving our feedback.
Okay. And finally, we haven't talked about fresh starts. How do you understand this term? No? Blank? Okay.
I need new holidays after my holidays.
Okay, let's imagine,
My mind goes
again,
blank.
my favorite sentence transformation. If I have already missed one sentence because I don't know how to rephrase it, honestly, and how to use that word given, I move to the next one. Do I start fresh, or I have to reflect on the previous sentence?
You start fresh.
Exactly. So that's a fresh start.
Something new.
Yeah. So a set of different ways of pushing students to use as much as possible, to show as much as possible what they've learned, what they know. Because, you know, if it's a gap fill of a text, like close test or an essay, you can't do like one thing. you can't produce the second paragraph without writing the first one. Does it make sense?
So fresh start is a type of test where you can skip the first task and move on to the next one.
Yeah, or not necessarily the task itself, maybe just it's part of the task. Or within one task, like listening, you have two tasks. One listening for gist, for example, and another listening for specific information. They didn't understand the gist. Yeah, they gave the wrong answer, but they can still tick the right boxes in the second task. It's also a fresh start.
And it's often like this. Yes, we exceed the level of challenge first, listening for the gist.
Absolutely. But that's not a fresh start.
Yeah, it's not.
Increasing the level of challenge here is a different thing, but yeah.
But if the listening is different, yeah, I mean, if the audio is different, it can be a fresh start, yeah.
Anna, can you please tell a few more words about washback?
Washback or backwash is the effect on teaching and learning, the effect of tests on teaching.
How your test, can affect on your teaching and learning process.
So if your students know at the end of the course or at the end of the week, they're going to take a test, and if you raise the awareness of what kind of test it's going to be, they're likely to be more motivated to focus on certain things that you've highlighted. They will be in the test and they want to improve their performance there.
Can revision be a kind of it? For example, before the test, we always do revision.
Yes. You clarify some of the things that will be helpful to get ready for the test. That's right.
So it's an example of backwash?
You see, there is also students' needs. So, for example, the test will going to be on grammar only, but they need language for communicating with friends or going on holiday. So they may think that multiple choice or gap fills or whatever, accuracy-based tasks are unreliable, irrelevant, completely irrelevant. So this test will lack validity, and then the backwash effect will be negative. They won't be motivated to get ready for such a test.
Okay.
So backwash is just the effect. Okay. Okay, good. So let's talk about, just to finish this session, let's talk about advantages of tests and disadvantages of tests. So as we've just pointed out, yeah, there are two positive backwash effects, yeah, positive and negative, yeah. What contributes to that? What might be a positive effect? Why?
Collecting information about your students' performance and progress.
Motivation, again, motivation for
Yeah,
students.
absolutely. Yeah, because sometimes, you know, for school children, it's very hard, or university students, yeah, it's very hard to motivate them to learn, to put enough effort into that. But if they know they'll be assessed soon based on their knowledge, perhaps they'll be slightly more motivated and more engaging.
Easy to plan a further process, I mean, further course, easy to plan for the teacher and for students, if they know all their weaknesses and strengths, they also can.
Yeah, it's likely to be more consistent, right? What you're doing in the lessons and what you're testing later on. Absolutely, that's a good thing.
Developing good habits, I mean, learning habits,
Yeah,
if it is continuous assessment and they know that they're expected to have, like my students, they know that at the beginning of each lesson, they've got in the 5 minutes lexical test and they know it, and it's always in different ways. That's why they prepare vocab, but they don't know in which way it would be. But sometimes it can be definition, sometimes it can be more productive activity, depending.
Okay, what are the negative things? Yeah, like disadvantages.
It's always stressful for students.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it takes a lot of time to check all these tests.
Right. So marking, yeah.
Sometimes, depending on the test.
What did you say?
Sometimes it's time consuming, and depending on the test. Yeah, you have to devote a lot of time, especially if you're given feedback.
Yeah,
and it
true.
is written feedback.
Yes, so if you are given a test and then collecting information, but you don't do anything, yeah, there is this formative component is missing, then of course, yeah, it's a disadvantage. It's just for the sake of testing without actually using that information.
Awful, yeah, test for test.
And yes, you said it's stressful. I don't know, can it be a habit like of taking tests? Will it become easier, less stressful, or it's still the same?
I suppose it's still the same.
Depending on personality. Someone's just and they don't care about the results much, or they don't show.
I think they usually improve their performance anyway, yeah, gradually, if it's like consistent and you are training them to respond better and prepare, basically, yeah. If this happens, then it's better and better. Okay, yeah. And of course, some students might be, you know, they might be not in the mood of doing this or that, yeah, or some topics might be more difficult, and then it doesn't actually show what they're capable of. Okay, so to sum up, what I'm going to share my slides with everything we've talked about, and there will be a couple of tasks, a couple of matching tasks to revise on terminology, a couple of links to Quizlet so that you can revise that too. And yeah, I'm thinking of probably shifting towards material evaluation, yeah, test evaluation. I'll share a link to the Jamboard, and we can do that before the lesson. And next time we'll talk about your responses. Yeah, does it make sense? Okay, amazing. So thank you for the input session. Thank you for being here, for popping in. And next time, hopefully, Sergey, you'll be able to join us too. Let's see. So enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, the same to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you.